Alrighty, welcome back to the Move Well podcast. If you're watching, we got a new setup today. So I've got my own camera still, but I've changed positions and we have Kevin Wade back there with a camera of their own. But we got a nice little kind of like a fisheye view, but you guys aren't
Why did
sitting.
we not do this all along?
I don't
Logan?
know, man. One of us were going to
It's
take
nice
the.
to have some space. for
Logan
Kevin.
just wanted to have his own table.
Yeah,
The
that's
whole-
finally. Now you
Yeah.
guys aren't playing footsie underneath the table every time
we
we
still
try
are.
to. Oh, you still. Well, everybody can see is
Yeah,
the
oh
difference
gosh,
now. Everybody can see
shoot.
you guys doing it now.
And they see our feet.
Yeah, they can kind of see your feet, so just be careful. But yeah, so back with another episode, and today we're kind of bringing it back to some practical experiences and things that we've actually done, and not just like questionnaire stuff and all that. Although that stuff is fun, it's also fun to talk through things that we've done from the business standpoint. And that thing being today, if you're looking at the title of this, it's how we executed our first ever wellness summit. And this is something I know that's probably been in Kevin's brain forever, but something that started as sort of serious conversations, probably close to not long after I started. So about 2 years ago. And then every year, it's just something we bring back up. Like, I would love to do this. I'd love to do this. So at first I want to talk about, I'll give a super brief summary of what it was. And then I want you to touch on, Kevin, what made us finally pull the trigger? What was the moment? And spoiler, it was Kevin telling somebody we were doing it, a client. So from then we were kind of forced to like get into it. But it was good, and I'm glad we did it. So the Wellness Summit, it was the inaugural year for us. So the first time we've ever done anything like this. And so what we did was we invited a group of people, and we'll get into the details of who those people were, why we decided that demographic of people. We brought a group of people in to a retreat style event, and we basically provided resources to them all day, from guest speakers to different types of sessions. Made them kind of think a little bit. They got to spend some time outdoors, and just a really cool day. And we got really lucky with having nice weather, so we're able to utilize the outdoor piece of it. But just a way for us to kind of pour back into this group of people, pretty much. But yeah, I kind of just want to talk through like when you first initially thought of this idea, Kevin, even like when it was a baby, before you even knew what it was going to look like, and then kind of how it just transpired, how it progressed to getting more serious and more serious, and then what was the moment that like, all right, we're doing it.
Yeah. So I think it first popped in my head, and it really wasn't just me. I think it was a group effort, I think. But I think when we were doing a work retreat, I believe out at the Gas River Retreat Centers where we ended up having this. We'll get into more of that later on. But it was just a small group of us for work, and we were planning out our quarter and setting goals and all those kind of things. Did some reflection stuff, and we did a much more intense version of the workout that we did probably last month. But our workout involves me and Logan beating Wade and Kyle carrying a log up a hill, but we won't get too far into that.
Another time to explain that story.
That'll be the next podcast.
But I think it was at the end of that day, it was like, man, wouldn't it be cool to do this with like a group of people that's not that's external from our group, just host a wellness retreat or summit. I think also we work pretty closely with the guys at 3 to 7 Project, Chad Wright, and they do a lot of weekend kind of intense, more like Navy SEAL style backcountry survival kind of weekends, but still that same concept of like bringing people together from different places and working together to kind of explore yourself a little bit more, honestly, and to go deep inside. So Chad Wright's hardcore weekends are really accomplishing the same thing. It's let's go look inside, let's look internal, let's ask ourselves the big questions and learn from it. And so we started talking about that, I think about 2 years ago. And just it seemed to just keep on coming up every time we'd meet. It's like ideas that we could do. It was like, man, wouldn't that be cool? We talked about doing it with just general population, general public, kind of opening it up to that. We talked about a bunch of different things, but we decided, you know what, we've got a bunch of wellness clients. We got people at those companies that are ambassadors for our wellness program. We have the company reps that we work with quite a bit. And it was like, well, let's just start with something small. Let's start with those individuals, see if anybody will come to it, and then be honest with them, like, hey, we're not experts at this, but we're learning and growing, and ask for their feedback, and then just see where it goes. And so we probably last year in January, no, it was probably like in October, I think we talked a little more serious about it. And I think we made that a goal this year, didn't we? In December when we were doing our work kind of goal setting session. And then we just put it on the calendar and we just kind of made it happen.
Yeah.
But I remember I put it as a placeholder on our calendars probably back in December, maybe before December, on May 6th or whenever we did it.
Yeah.
And just put it on there. And then, like you said, at some point, I just told somebody we were going to do it.
Yeah.
And then we all had to make it happen. And,
Yeah.
and we really didn't know if anybody was going to come, honestly.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we didn't charge them or anything. It was more of like, hey, you know, this is just a thank you for being a customer of ours and using and being a client of ours. But we still didn't know if anybody would show up. So, yeah. So it was just really neat. It was neat to see something that we talked about, planned about, prayed about to actually come to fruition. Was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And like Kevin said, it was at Gasper River Retreat Center, which is where we had done retreats and stuff before. But Wade, talk about the group of people that we actually invited. Kevin mentioned like the company reps, but talk about who those specific people are, because each company is kind of different. So it was a little bit of, like Kevin said, ambassadors, but also other people in other positions within those companies too. So why did that make sense to do that group of people, and who were they?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just depending on which group that we had. So some groups brought their ambassadors, which are more people that are fully wellness focused at their company, that are kind of the drivers of our program, or the boots on the ground, like what we like to call them. And then some other groups just had just a variety of individuals from their organization that came, and that could be anywhere from field personnel to office personnel, people that just wanted to learn more about our program that expressed interest in coming. And then we also had some other insurance broker representatives that were there as well, individuals that actually sell our product or take our product to the market for us. So it was nice to have them just see what we're doing on the back end and actually see that we're what we say we're about. But then I think most importantly, from all of the individuals that were there, it's hard to really build meaningful, lasting relationships with people virtually. And that's where a lot of our services are driven from. So I think it was just a cool day to pour into those individuals, get to know them a little bit better on a deeper level. So that way they can actually take that product back to their company. So as far as individuals, I mean, it was a wide variety of individuals, male, females, that were there to partake in our event.
Yeah. And it, that like Wade said, the ambassadors, like their role is to like help engage their cohorts, the people that they work with, but also give us feedback in the app. And so I think that was another reason that kind of leads to the next question, that we wanted to do this, was so that we could equip them with things to do that. But also this kind of served like multi-purpose of a day. We wanted to pour back into them and be like, hey, we're not just asking you to help us. Like we want to help you too. So I think talking through the goal of the day, and I want you, both of you, to kind of elaborate on that too. And I think it, going into it, I think what I kept saying was like, we just want to pour into you guys. We just want to pour into you all. But then as the day went on, you could see that like they started to open up with us more as people. And I think it kind of turned into also like, let's just show them who we are as a team and like how we interact with people, how much we appreciate them, and just who we are. I mean, like Wade said, it's hard to fully understand who somebody is from behind a screen. So obviously from a bigger perspective of like ideation when it started to when it finally got here, what was your main goal that you wanted out of the summit, Kevin?
My main goal of the summit, number one, was to get people to think. Like that was it. Like I wanted them to ask themselves why. And just aside from all the business stuff and all those kind of things, like if we could touch somebody's life and have them ask themselves a big question and start working to find resolution to that, in my brain, it was a success. And then from there, I mean, I think, yeah, like you all touched on, like building community, all those kind of things, but just also just to bring people together. I mean, we talk about that a lot on the podcast. Like it just, and I said this in my opening talk, is everybody there is so busy, you know, day to day, and they're working really hard. They're getting uninterrupted at their office, you know, all day long. They're going home and they're doing whatever they got to do at home. I mean, we are all just so busy as a society, and to give those people just a little bit of time to just kind of zoom out, think, have some time to reflect was the biggest goal. And then just to connect with other people that are using our product, you know, because we had companies from all over the place there that don't know each other or anything. And so just to bring them together, and I think everybody there that day obviously has an interest in wellness. And so to just bring those type of people together and then see how can we make this product better and how can we better help the people that are using the product was obviously a huge goal of it. And I think we accomplished those things, or maybe exceeded those goals. Honestly, it was just such a good day, man, and it was just so cool watching people connect. It was neat seeing people, sit down by the river and reflect and think and all that kind of stuff. And so I think we did that. I think we accomplished that, and we were able to address a bunch of different areas of wellness. So hopefully they learned something new too, that they're able to take back, that they can apply to their lives and also apply to people that they work with.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that's big. I mean, Kevin obviously is, if you follow our podcast or any of our stuff at all, Kevin's going to make people think. And that's his main goal in life, is just to get people to think about where they're going and what they want to do, and understand it can be scary, but you can accomplish it. I feel like my main goal going in was just to build relationships with all the different company individuals that we had. It wasn't, I feel like you all were huge on the development and the planning of the entire retreat. I had an easy job. I just had to speak for 20, 30 minutes a few times, and then just honestly get to know people and get to talk to people that I don't normally get to talk to, and just get them to understand who we are and what we're about. And I think that was a huge key for me in that day, and just trying to build relationships with individuals.
Yeah. And I think we did exactly that. And like I said, we got really lucky with the weather too.
Yeah.
So just kind of, I want to go through next is what the agenda of the day was, because then we can kind of break down each part and like talk about what that entails a little bit. Because like I said, we did a lot with them, and we covered different areas of wellness, but we did some cool like hands-on stuff sort of too, from the lunch standpoint. So I'm going to pull that up here. So the event started around 9, our itinerary was from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the day. So 9 to 9:30 just gave people time to arrive, because we did host it in Bowling Green. We had people coming from like 2.5 hours away, which was really cool that people were willing to drive that far. From 9:45 to 10, we just did a welcome, introduced our team. And then after that, we did, this was Kevin's portion. So we did just a hike outside. And we had got a ton of rain and storms and stuff, I think like that week prior. So a lot of the trail from where we thought we were going to hike on was really washed out. So initially Kevin was going to make people go to the top of this, and he was going to give his talk at the top of this, like jump the tallest point on the retreat center.
We're going to do some chants and stuff up there.
Chants,
really
make them
fun.
carry logs.
Yeah.
No, but it got washed out, but it really worked out well. We did about a 20 to 30 minute hike, and then we gave them like 20 minutes, 25 minutes to be outside. And that's where they got to walk down by the river and just like think and just take time to themselves, talk to other people. And there's a ton of, I don't know how many acres there is there total, but
probably a couple hundred.
Yeah, a couple hundred, but just along the river right there, you can walk for a long time. And it was beautiful. It was like the cabin we were in, you looked at the back window over the back deck, and the river was flowing right there. So you could get right up, you could get in the river if you wanted. So people had some time to do that. And then once they came back in is whenever Kevin gave his talk. So like give a little bit of brief of what your talk was about.
The talk I gave was called Habits Over Goals. And the purpose of that talk is basically to make people understand, like, we'd love to talk about goals, but if you don't have the appropriate habits tied to those goals, then you're never going to accomplish them. But it starts with knowing your why or your purpose. And so I think a lot of times goals fail because they aren't tied to anything that meaningful personally to you. So, I need to make sure everything that I'm doing in my life and I'm working hard towards, because if I set a goal, obviously I'm going to be working hard towards accomplishing it. Is it getting me closer to being the person I want to be? And if we don't have a good picture of what that person looks like, then really all that stuff's pointless. So that was why we had them, we took the hike. We talked about, hey, we want you to spend some time focusing on your why or your purpose. We gave them 20 minutes to just go wherever they wanted. Recommended that they kind of spend some time alone and without their device, because you really can't get into the areas of your brain that answers those big questions if you're distracted or you're having conversation, things like that. So we just wanted them to spend some time in solitude prior to that. And then, just jumped into that. And, so the first part of the talk is obviously defining purpose and all those kind of things. And then from there, tying the importance of habits to your goals. And really that's the secret sauce with everything, it's just those habits. And I think I've learned that over the last couple of years of just set a goal, but then pay more attention to the habits that are assigned to that, or KPIs, we call them in the business world, like key performance indicators, things that show that if I do these little things, then I'm going to get closer to the bigger task. So that was pretty much it. It was about a probably 30, 45-minute talk.
And it's SHRM accredited too, correct?
Yeah, that was
so
cool.
that was
So I've given that at a few SHRM events. We'll be giving that at the Tennessee and Kentucky SHRM this fall. So it was accredited, which was nice. And so the people that were HR, SHRM is Society for Human Resource Managers. I believe that's what that stands for. So the people in attendance that were human resource managers got some continuing ed credits from that. So that was nice too. But it was neat. I think what was really cool after was all the conversation, the questions, and the really good like peer-to-peer conversations that just kind of organically happened, which was really neat, I thought.
Yeah. And it turned into like some encouragement too at some point for people, because they're saying, I did this and then here's what resulted from that. And somebody else said, yeah, I've wanted to do this or whatever. But I've just felt like this, and someone is just giving them feedback and encouraging them. And so it turned into like an extra almost 10-minute probably discussion of just that stuff too.
Yeah, it was cool.
And then so after Kevin talked, they had a little bit of a break, and then Wade came in and blew him away, gave his talk as well. So talk about yours a little bit, Wade.
It was finding how to sleep. Everybody just slept for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
No, it was a talk that I've given just a couple times. It's health span versus lifespan. So trying to look at those two different metrics. I feel like here in the U.S., people are living longer. It's starting to trend down slightly, but people are living longer. But the amount of health span, or the lives that they're living free of disease, is decreasing. So people are managing chronic conditions, and people are living more unwell than they are in their lifespan. So there's about 14 years or 20% of their lives that people are spent managing chronic conditions. So I just hit on a lot of that. It was a lot of defining what is health span, what is lifespan, telling some stories about a few patients that I've seen in the clinics of people who have had really healthy, really long health spans and lifespans tied together, which I feel like is a gold standard. And then individuals that were in their 60s and have been managing chronic conditions since their 40s. So like the total opposite of that. So talked about the different stories there, and then how do we actually improve health span? So go into telling them it really, honestly, it's just keeping it simple. There's so much information out there today, especially on the internet, influencers pushing different hacks, how to improve your overall quality of life. But I just try to tell people, just keep it really simple. Focus on your quality nutrition, focus on strength training, working out, focus on quality sleep and preventative care. Like, it's really not that difficult. So like what Kevin was saying, like those are the habits that you need to build to improve your health span overall. So it's really not that difficult, but it is hard to do. So it's like small things that we tend to overlook that we can do that can make dramatic changes in our overall health span long-term.
Yeah. And like you said, both of the stuff that you all talked about, all the talks that we gave, I think that allows them to just think more. And then everything that we talked about ties into what we can provide with them, which is a wellness program. And so from all that, we're telling them, like, so you can get all of this, and we can assist you with all these things that we're talking about, with habits, with developing habits, with maintaining habits, and then being able to do it on your own, and then finding better tactics to have a better health span rather than just living until you're 60, but managing chronic conditions for the last 20 years of your life, like Wade said. So it's really cool. Like, everything that we're providing them, they can come to us and we can help them implement that into their life. So it was really cool. And then after that, we had a little bit of a break again. They had about 15 minutes in between each thing that we did with them. And then we did sort of like a lunch and learn session with Stephanie, who's our registered dietitian. She came up with an awesome menu for the day. And then Gasper River Retreat Center graciously provided, or
they were amazing.
Prepared
awesome.
everything.
A lot of food prep too. A lot of vegetables that needed to be cut and everything.
Yeah. So we did Mediterranean bowls. So they had, what were the different? There were beans, quinoa, chicken.
I know, it was so good.
It was
so good. I wish I ate like that all the time. Like, it's so good.
Yeah. And I felt good the rest of the day too. And there was a bunch of food up there too. So they did all the portion sizes for us. So everybody had the opportunity to get seconds, and it worked out really good. And Steph kind of explained each food item that was out on the table and said, this can provide you this. This can be a replacement for this. Or if you don't like this, you can try this instead. So it was awesome. It was delicious. And it was a perfect meal for the day. A lot of people ate outside, which was cool. And some people stayed inside. And then we just played some music, let them hang out. And then they had about 20 minutes after lunch to kind of network with one another. So a lot of people stayed outside and walked around. Some people sat at a round table inside of the of the cabin and talked for a little bit. And I know you guys, we were all kind of bouncing around talking to those clients as well, and just they were asking us questions, and we had a couple good conversations come from that that'll hopefully allow us to provide more things to those clients that were there, especially with a lot of company leaders being there. And then after lunch, we had our friend Dan Klein from Lock Shield Partners come in. And I know you know Dan better than I do, and a little bit more context to a story. And he didn't really talk much about his story necessarily, more so how we're partnering with them from a financial wellness standpoint, and how and basically the content we're creating for them to use is also going to be used in the MoveWell app. So we're offering all these wellness services to companies, and we also are saying, hey, we also have a financial firm that we work with that is providing financial wellness services from a range of ideas, from very beginner, whether you're 21 years old and you want to start your first ever 401k, or if you're 50 years old and you want to do that, or you have other financial goals. So it was cool to kind of let Dan do his thing up there, but give a brief context on Dan. He just has a really cool story.
Yeah, Dan is a really cool guy, and he's always somebody I've always admired. I first came in contact with him several years ago, and he was telling his story at church. And Dan had leukemia. He's a cancer survivor and a man of faith. And after he had his diagnosis, he had to go through all that stuff, and then recovered rather quickly. I can't remember how long his journey was, but seemed to handle it very well, probably because he had really good healthy habits, so he was able to tackle it head on. But when he came out of his finally came out of all of his treatment and stuff like that, he started an organization called My 359, and he talks about how the 4-minute mile wasn't broken until, I can't remember, in the 60s or 70s. I can't remember. It was probably before that. Roger Bannister, but was the first person to break the 4-minute mile. Then after that, it was like a domino effect, and everybody started breaking the 4-minute mile. So he talks about a lot of stuff is just in our head. A lot of it's mental, and what things in your life are like that barrier that the 4-minute mile was for everybody. So it's called My 359. So he told a little bit of that story, talked about before he had cancer, he couldn't dunk a basketball. I think he could when he was younger, and then he had kind of lost his fitness to be able to do that. He was in his 40s, I believe, late 30s, early 40s, and then came back after his treatment and then was finally able to dunk a basketball again. So he told a little bit of that story. But Dan is just an amazing guy. He takes people to the Grand Canyon every single year and helps them push themselves out in nature and just explore their limits. So he's a really unique person because he's kind of got this financial side, but he's also got all the stuff that MoveWell is all about in his personal life. So it's a really cool combination coming together to deliver financial wellness content in our app, which is really, really neat. So he told a little bit of that story and talked about, what we'll be providing with them and those things, but really excited about all the stuff we got going with him.
Yeah, Dan's awesome. I've done a lot of offsite stuff with Dan, with creating content for him, and seeing him and his team, Clark and Jody, Jamie, all of them interacting with their clients. You can tell they genuinely care. And they do twice a year, they do client dinners where hundreds and hundreds of people come, and they're setting this up, and it takes a lot of their time and energy and effort. And so to see them do that stuff, it's they really, really care about their people. And when I went to their last client dinner, all of them, they sat down for maybe 10 minutes to eat, and then they're bouncing around for the rest of the 2-hour time frame. So yeah, Dan is just a great guy, and I'm glad he got to come and speak. And then after that, Wade calmed everybody down with some deep breathing. So through our app on every Wednesday, Wade records a deep breathing exercise. And so on Wednesdays, people can kind of step away from their daily stretching and they do a deep breathing exercise. So Wade took through, did a small PowerPoint of some of his favorite breathing techniques. And it was cool. We were able to package that afterwards and send it to everyone. So we did some deep breathing together, and then we were able to send it to all the attendees to implement into their day too. So they had it going forward. After that is whenever we really just got a lot of the value from a feedback standpoint from everyone who attended. So obviously there's a lot of things that we loved about it, but things we would do different, obviously. So kind of the last couple of questions before we start to wrap up is, well, before we get into that also, so each attendee also, we had gracious sponsors. We had a lot of local people. We had 30 Bird. We had the BG school, cooking school,
I think
BG Food School.
Yeah.
They both provided some goodies for us, and then Blue Cotton provided all of our bags for all attendees and put our logo on it. I mean,
Yeah, it was amazing.
they
Really
continue
nice.
to support us and everything that we do, big in the Hot Rod Ultra, and then now this. So yeah, everybody got that, and then we printed T-shirts, and then Houchins Insurance Group also brought a little gift for everyone as well. So they, it was cool because when you go to things like this, you always kind of feel that pressure, like you need to provide something, and it was cool that we were able to provide stuff that was local, but also like really cool and not just.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to TKO Apparel. They
Yeah,
hooked us up
man.
with the shirts. They did a great job. Did a quick turnaround for us.
Yeah, always.
They always do a good job. But yeah, they everybody was able to get shirts and just some nice stuff. It was cool. It was nice to be able to provide them with something too, and they came.
Yeah,
which was neat.
Yeah, so it was nice. And we've kind of talked about, as this thing grows, what that will look like for people, because I think we have decided to maybe open this up to a larger group going forward, but that's still something that's kind of up in the air, and just kind of gauge an interest of people.
Well, one of my favorite parts was we were walking out of the cabin. The day was wrapped up. And we were like about to start packing up stuff, and Wade did the Wade thing. He looked at me. He's like, "We're gonna have thousands of people this one day," and it was dead serious, and it was great. And I was like, "You know what? You're right. Like this could be a much bigger thing." And then we were talking about, gosh, maybe we should do it over a couple of days.
Yeah.
And, keynote speakers, so it was just cool to see where it can be.
The potential
this was
of
just
it,
that
yeah.
first step. And obviously we're not going to go to thousands of people and big, huge keynote speakers, next year. But it just hopefully over time we just develop this, make it better every single time. I think there was a lot of stuff we learned this time that can make it better. And so that's going to be fun, just kind of improving it every single year. I think it's going to be really neat.
I think it was just awesome just to take the step of doing it. Because sometimes the fear of like failing, obviously, and like no one shows up can paralyze you just to never doing anything in life. And I'm sure that's a part of your talk, right? I can't remember. I've heard it a few times, but
just a few times.
I was out at an offsite while Kevin was doing his, so I wouldn't get confused on what I was talking about afterwards. But just trying it, and that there's a lot in just saying and just attempting it, right?
Yeah.
And we learned so much just by attempting it. And we could have tried for 2 years to plan it to make everything go perfect, and it probably would have derailed within the first 10 minutes. And that's why I was excited that you finally just put it on the calendar. You, Logan, and Abby honestly planned the majority of it. I was worried because I was kind of left out of the planning, and I was like,
yeah, Wade was
y'all
questioning.
have everything together. Like I was honestly worried it wasn't going to happen.
All of it.
And
what did you think? Was it smooth?
It went really well.
Yeah.
I was really happy how it was. And I feel like when you get people like that together, you don't have to have a ton of structure, right? You kind of need like loose guidelines, but when your main goal and objective is just to build relationships and get people to think, honestly, people just need like loose guidelines and just the time to think.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they have enough information they're hit with. I think everything we did was great, and just having them time to get out in nature, calm their minds, breathe some.
Yeah.
That's great.
A little breathing.
And just have that time to think how they can improve their overall health, and just have that time, that quiet time.
Yeah. And I think that it being the first year too, that we kind of have a little bit of loose guidelines. We definitely need an itinerary and structure, but now I think we probably can button it up a little bit more next year too.
Yeah.
So kind of going into our last two questions is, what would be something that you would have done differently? Or maybe just something that you learned from it that you want to implement?
I think I didn't realize how excited people were for the kind of like product feedback portion of it, and we kind of loosely, hey, if there's anything you guys, and everybody was just really excited to help improve our product and wanted to give their input. So I think that was one of my big takeaways, was making that part of it, maybe giving more time for that, having a little more structure, maybe allowing them to maybe submit like things, the week leading up to it, so we could kind of curate that and make sure that we're all talking about the same stuff and making sure we're all working together to improve the product and stuff. But all the attendees seemed really excited to participate in that, so that was a cool thing. But that was my takeaway.
I feel like my biggest thing was like workshop between groups and like giving them just more time to network. Obviously they had time to just network and discuss, but and more specific in like the health and wellness of their company. What are you doing that's going well at your company? What's going bad? What's something you've done in this organization that could be beneficial to this organization? So it's giving them more time to intermingle, because I feel like naturally when you go to events like that, the group you come with, that's the table you're going to sit at. So maybe next time, even like doing randomized seating, like making people have to sit somewhere different, but just giving them more time to kind of like workshop it and build out across organizations.
Yeah, I think that would probably be mine too, Wade, would be just like more breakout structure. And I think part of that is what Kevin said of like, allowing people to submit questions in, and then we have maybe a 30-minute block. I think we could still probably keep it like 30 minutes, but we already have some preset questions, and then that gives us time to nail out stuff they maybe already had questions on, and then gives them about 10 minutes to still ask their own questions that may have spurred throughout the day. But then, yeah, I like the idea of doing breakouts with your table as well, like maybe twice a day, and then prompt them with a question. And that way they can all go around the table and kind of say, hey, here's what's worked for us. Here's what we do, things like that. And then we'll end it with, what was your favorite part of the day?
I think it was the deep breathing.
Yeah, I was a massive fan of the
Come
deep
on,
breathing.
guys. Come on.
Wade's like, we're scratching the deep breathing next year now.
No, it was good. Now, I think my favorite part of the day, honestly, I think lunch, because it was a nice time to just be able to talk to everybody and stuff like that. And it was just neat, like people that we see all the time on a computer screen, or we're having, really focused meetings with about, what we're trying to do with the product or whatever. It was just nice to just have time that we didn't have to talk about any of that, and just spend time together and break bread together and just talk, and learn more about them and their personal life and things like that. That was really nice for me. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
Other than the deep breathing, mine was, there was a moment after we did our hike. I took them on a detour. I said I wasn't going to go up the hill. We went up the hill anyways, part of the way, and then we turned around and came back. It was just kind of out and back. Then afterwards, we gave everybody the 20 to 30 minutes, just kind of walk around, just be themselves, think about their purpose, their why, what they're wanting to get out of the day. And we just kind of let everybody disperse from there. Kevin and I came up to the top of the deck, and we got to see everybody else just kind of down there walking around, contemplating their purpose.
Yeah.
And it was just neat to see something we've thought about, something we've dreamed about come to fruition, and just see people actually want to come be around us.
Yeah.
And just see people out there thinking about their purpose. It was neat to see, and just kind of surreal, honestly. And that can kind of build out that bigger vision of what we want it to become later. But it all started with the first 20 people that we had come on that first day. So that was really neat for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think my favorite was after lunch, or like during lunch, I felt like an energy shift of like almost calmness from everybody is what it seemed like. Because once people started getting through lunch, you could just see like people were talking to other people. They were just getting up on their own and going outside. Like when they first got there, we were like, hey, go check out the view, but then lunchtime, they're just getting up and going on their own and doing their own thing. And then after lunch, I really felt like people were just opened up. Like they were sitting back in their chairs, and they were like really paying attention to what was going on, and like asking questions, cutting up, cracking up. And I just felt like at that point, I was like, people feel like they don't feel awkward, which is the most important thing. The biggest thing I was nervous about. I was like, I don't want there to be awkwardness because of downtime or because of the stuff that we're talking about. But it was good. Even Wade's breathing, man.
We're good about managing awkward,
Yeah,
so honestly, Logan did a great job just emceeing it and like keeping the day flowing well. I feel like if anything, our team is relatable, and like I feel like part of that is just humor, like just cutting up, making fun of ourselves, enjoying our day, and just letting our clients just see like, hey, we're just real people. And I think you just did a really good job about that. Even though if it's usually at my expense, I'll take it. I'll wear that as a badge of honor.
I was getting Tory pretty good that day.
Yeah, no. So, but even just that, I mean, our whole team did a great job, and our whole team was there.
Yeah.
So it was neat to just see everybody just interacting together. But you did an awesome job, just kind of keeping the flow of the events running well.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was an awesome day. And yeah, like I said, next year we already have our date book next year, don't we? Cinco de Mayo next year. So
Taco bar
for sure happening next year. But so that was kind of how it is kind of weird to talk about these things, because it seems like such a big pressing thing of like, how are we going to make this happen? And then the fact that we actually did it and everybody had a hand in it was really cool. So hopefully if there's something you all are thinking about doing, planning an event, that's just a little glimpse of how we did it, how it was structured, how we built out and executed our first ever wellness summit. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.